Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to the launch of the ASEAN BCG Researcher Development Program. Thank you all for joining us. The interest in this program has been overwhelming, and we're delighted to report that more than 900 researchers from across ASEAN and from regions beyond have registered for the program. Looking at the participants, they're continuing to sign up, so this is very good news. My name is Simon Grimley, and I'm working with the International Cooperation Division of Thailand's National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NASDA, NSTDA, and we are one of the co-organizers of the event. One of our partners for this workshop is Euraccess ASEAN, and Dr. Susanna Rensel-Vasu, who is the regional coordinator for Euraccess worldwide, will be co-moderating the event with me today. Susanna, can I invite you to quickly introduce yourself and Euraccess?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Simon. Well, as Simon has already said, my name is Susanna. I'm part of the Euraccess ASEAN team here in Southeast Asia. Euraccess Worldwide is a project that is funded and managed by the European Commission. And our mandate really, in a nutshell, is to bring researchers together to work together on some of the joint challenges that we're all facing. So we're part of a network that is composed of 41 countries in the European research area. And we also have international presence in 9 locations, including Southeast Asia, but also China, Japan, Korea, North America, etc. So what you have here is really a global network of researchers in the public and the private sector, and we are facilitating their collaboration. A lot of what we do, of course, is focused on providing you with information on funding opportunities, but also capacity building, networking opportunities is very much what we're doing. And being part of the BCG Researcher Development Program is fabulous. It's a great honor for us. We're really looking forward to that. And I also want to introduce you quickly to my colleague, Dr. Jenny Elmako, who is with us as well. Jenny.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And indeed, so I'm the other half of Susan, particularly also I'm in charge of Thailand and Vietnam. So please keep in touch with us. We're all through this program. I see Dr. Sai here, who is from PMUB, and we just had an excellent program as well, supporting the postdoctoral Thailand program in Thailand too. So a lot of things happening, and we are very, very happy to have you all here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jenny. And Simon, back to you.
Thanks, Susanna. Thanks, Jenny. This program, the ASEAN BCG Research and Development Program, is an initiative of Thailand's Program Management Unit for Human Resources and Institutional Development, or PMUB. And it's really because of PMUB's vision and generous support that we're all here today. And I'm very pleased that Dr. Worachit Setapun, who's Deputy Director for the Global Partnership Program at PMUB, is joining us. And before asking her to give some opening remarks, I'll just give you a short bio of Dr. Worachit. She's the former Dean of the Asian Development College for Community Economy and Technology in Chiang Mai Rajpat University. She was the recipient of a Fulbright scholarship and received her MSc and PhD in chemical engineering from the University of Michigan, where she also had a doctoral appointment at the Argonne National Laboratory. She established the Chiang Mai World Green City as a living lab for green technologies with a 100% renewable energy-based smart community. So she is obviously very well qualified to be talking about BCG with us today. She was also an ASEAN US Science and Technology Fellow and has worked at the Ministry of Energy in Thailand on decentralized community power. Dr. Worachit was also the 2016 ASEAN US Women in Science for Sustainable Energy Fellow. So Dr. Worachit, with that short introduction, may I invite you to deliver some opening remarks? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Simon, for your kind introduction. Well, dear ASEAN researchers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of PMUB, our name is very long. It's Program Management Unit for Human Resources, Institutional Development, Research, and Innovation. We are part of the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation in Thailand. We are one of the funding agencies and then focusing on human resource development and research in frontier, also of BCG. And so we're very proud of this program. And I'm so delighted to welcome all of you to the inauguration of the ASEAN BCG Researcher Development Program. This is a comprehensive program aiming to promote both skill development and professional networking for young researchers in ASEAN. So this program is actually part of our overarching program. We call it the Global Partnership for ASEAN Talent Mobility Plus program. And we aim to link ASEAN researcher together through various platforms, either like a virtual platform and networking activities. So this is like aimed to provide opportunity for ASEAN researcher team in the sense of we can combine various countries together and then to tackle regional ASEAN Grand Challenge. So right now for this one would be focusing on BCG researchers, and then on the next one, we might be focused on frontier researchers, maybe looking at the social science part, on community development. So there are various topics that ASEAN researchers can work together and to develop. And so part of our program, as I said, is to providing opportunities for our ASEAN researchers to come together, maybe learn skill set to form international proposal team and request like funding from various sources, not just from ASEAN alone, from individual countries member alone. And we also have funding sources from ASEAN Secretariat, COSTI, and under the Global Partnership Program, what I'm helping to promote for ASEAN researchers is like E-Asia Joint Research Program, maybe Southeast Asia, Europe Joint Funding Scheme, DFG, Horizon Europe with the European Research Council, which Euraxis is also helping great to link each one together. There's various more funding like ANSO Thailand or Belmont Forum. So with this platform, so thank you so much for joining us, and you'll be part of our family where you can have an opportunity to branch out and reach these kind of funding and maybe mentors for researchers and scientists as well. But for this program, we started off with BCG. BCG is Biocircular Green Economy, and this is the concept aim of applying technology, innovation, and creativity to build sustainable and inclusive economic growth. And in 2022, the BCG model was proposed to ASEAN and the initiative was met with a warm welcome, so resulting in the launch of the ASEAN BCG network. So with this network, we want to enhance the activity further and see what ASEAN BCG researchers can do. Right. And the BCG model was also adopted by the leaders in the APEC member economies as well as part of the Bangkok goal in this. So we believe that the BCG model can be a start in initiating researchers together because the biocircular and green model can be used to access using research for the regional development as well. So with the heart of the BCG model is the ability to create applied technology with innovative solution. So we hope that through the phases, the series of this development program, new novel ideas for innovative solutions can come together, and we'll find to make your ideas reality through this program or our networking program. So PMUB is really proud to support this program, and we really hope that the skill sets and the network that develop from this program will help empower our scientists and develop the solution for the betterment of the region. So this program cannot happen without the generous support of various parties. So I would like to express my gratitude so much for the experienced lecturers that will come with us today, and for your dedicated time to share your knowledge with the participant. And also thank you so much to our co-organizers, okay, NSTDA and Euraxis ASEAN, for your hard work and your cooperation to plan this intensive program. My appreciation also goes to our audience. Thank you so much again. It's over 500 people that applied or come and participate in this workshop today. And so thank you very much. And I really feel that with your support and your interest, and this can serve as the role of the regional gathering as well. I've been in contact with the Thai counterpart, with the COSTI, and we do hope that this is one of the platform to be as a platform for ASEAN human capacity development for the researcher. So lastly, I wish everyone a very, very productive time today. And I hope that I would see you, meet a lot of you through the second phase. And then at the end, I hope that their team will build together, and I hope to see some of you, maybe some of you in Thailand for the second phase. So thank you again, and best of luck and happy workshop. Okay, back to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Warchit, for the excellent intro and also background to BCG and to the program. Again, it's credit to PMUB for having the vision, the foresight to launch this program. So it's struck a chord. There's obviously a huge amount of interest. Watching the numbers, the participant numbers climb here. So maybe before moving on, I just want to maybe sort of complement Dr. Warchit's remarks and give a bit of background about the program, how this BCG Research and Development Program is going to work. The program consists of two phases. So we're at the beginning of the first phase. This is the launch. And the overall objective of this phase of the program is really to improve the skills of ASEAN researchers, particularly soft skills such as critical thinking, science communication, networking, proposal writing, et cetera. And we'll be doing this through a series of workshops in the coming months. And then from all the participants that are joining us for this first phase, there'll be 30 who'll be selected to come to an intensive on-site program here in Thailand, where they will work with mentors and senior researchers, basically to further develop these skills, and with a focus on proposal writing and project leadership. The idea being that at the end of this intensive session, there'll be you as a researcher will be in a position to write successful funding proposals for international research funding, and you'll be able to communicate your research idea to potential research partners from around the world, to investors, et cetera. So two phases. First phase is the one we're in now. Second phase will be a more intensive on-site course here in Thailand. So that's the overview of the program. Next slide. So here's the schedule of events that's coming up. So session one, which is us all here today. The focus here is on ASEAN Foresight, Sustainable Development Goals, and also really giving you, the participants, a better understanding of BCG, how it's working in Thailand, what the goals are for BCG in ASEAN. In 2 weeks' time, we have the next session, where there'll be 4 workshops on communication, science communication, critical thinking, management, and collaboration. And these will be spaced, basically happening every Wednesday, 1 week apart, beginning 15th of February. And then session 3 is, again, this is on, I guess, a stronger focus on journal writing, proposal writing, how you present your scientific idea to potential partners, to non-experts, to investors, and so on. So these will take place in March and in April. The first 2 will be again on a Wednesday, 1 week apart. Then we've got a bit of a break because there's the Thai New Year, And we'll begin with the final session on the 27th of April, which is all about how you can strengthen your international networking skills. And that's on the 27th of April. So it's time to get started. We've got three excellent speakers with us today. And I would like to first introduce you to Dr. Zarina Mokhtar. She is the Assistant Director and Head of the Science and Technology Division at the ASEAN Secretariat, where she coordinates the implementation of various science, technology, innovation activities across ASEAN. Prior to joining the Secretariat, Dr. Zarina served at several ministries in Malaysia, and she was also attached to the Permanent Mission of Malaysia to the United Nations in New York. In 2014, Dr. Zarina was awarded the Outstanding Service Award by the Government of Malaysia. And prior to that, she was studying in the UK. She was Deputy Director for Cambridge I-Teams, where she facilitated the commercialization of more than 20 new technologies. And in 2018, she received the Innovative Youth Incubator Award in Washington, D.C. Dr. Zarina is a professional technologist, science and environment advisor to organizations at both the national and regional level. And finally, she holds an MPhil in conservation leadership and a PhD in engineering from the University of Cambridge in the UK. So with that, Zarina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simon, for the very kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone from the ASEAN Secretariat, Jakarta, especially to the global network of researchers. I'm happy to see that we have a very, very good turnout today. Congratulations to the organizer. First off, thanks for having me in this session. Although virtually, I'm very honored to be in the same panel as my colleagues from the Philippines and also from Thailand, Dr. Adora and Kun Strongkanok, whom I have had the pleasure to work very closely with in their capacities as experts contributing to the ASEAN COSTE, the Committee on Science and Technology. So in this session on Foresight and Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, I will be sharing our policy in ASEAN in supporting Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, and various opportunities for ASEAN researchers to write on in joining us to bring ASEAN-ASEAN progression to new heights. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes, so for the next 20 minutes or so, I will be deliberating 5 things here. Number 1, ASEAN-STI governance. We're going to look at the overall governance of ASEAN-STI. Number 2, our PASTI, our plan of action on STI and sustainable development goals. Number 3, the interlink between 9 COSTI subcommittees and also SDGs. Number 4, the complementarity of our work with SDG. And finally, the opportunities the researchers can write on in joining us to collectively bring ASEAN-ASEAN progression to new heights. Next slide, please. Right, in terms of governance, 10 ASEAN member states at the national level are mainly governed by the ministry, department, or agency who are the custodian of science, technology, and innovation, STI. In another word, they have STI under the watch or under the purview. Domestically, STI policy and framework are driven by these respective entities at the national level. So you can see the list in the map that I'm showing here. We have a different ministry, agency, and also a department looking after STI for each ASEAN member states. At the regional level, collectively as an ASEAN regional pact, STI progression is governed by AMSTI, COSTI, and guided by APASTI. I know there's a lot of abbreviation going out there. I'm going to explain one by one what AMSTI is, what COSTI is, and how APASTI is guiding our activities for ASEAN STI. And as a region, we also have the responsibility to uphold and achieve sustainable development goals. So SDG as a global goal is very imperative for ASEAN to establish STI initiative. We see SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, as a global goal that would grease the wheel for STI progression and sustainable future. The Committee on STI, or COSTI, has the right mandate to materialize this aspiration in line with ASEAN Economic Community Blueprint 2025. So the partnership forged in this space could create a scope for ASEAN to recover from the pandemic even better together. Next slide, please. Okay, now let us zoom into ASEAN governance. As I said, two important entities and guideline are AMSTI, COSTI, and APASTI. ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on STI, AMSTI, consists of 10 STI ministers that meets annually since the 80s. AMSTI main role is to give mandate and guides COSTI to drive ASEAN STI policies, management activities, implementation of programs. And the Committee on STI or COSTI, on the other hand, is implementing all the activities planned and also mandated by AMSTI. Established in 1971, COSTI meets biannually. We are going to have the next COSTI meeting in June in Brunei and in October in the Philippines this year. COSTI main role is to drive ASEAN STI policy, management, and implementation of programs. COSTI is also supported by an advisory body known as BAC, the Board of Advisor to COSTI. So in BAC, we have all the representatives from all 10 ASEAN member states. COSTI is now overseeing 9 subcommittees looking after 9 different scientific areas. We're going to delve deeper into that 9 subcommittees. We also have 20 networks and centers and also 2 task forces. So BCG, as what Dr. Foresight mentioned just now, is just one activity that we are implementing under COSTI. We also have ASEAN Foresight Alliance. Last year, we implemented more than 90 projects under COSTI. I will explain more detail on this in the subsequent slide. So Brunei Darussalam assumed COSTI chairmanship for this year. And last but not least, APASTI, ASEAN Plan of Action on STI 2016-2025. This is a document that guides the implementation of ASEAN STI policy, management and projects, as well as programs. So for researchers out there, if you are looking into putting up a proposal for ASEAN to be considered to be getting ASEAN funding, please read this document because everything that we are doing need to be linked to APASTI. Yeah? That would bring me to the next slide. Can I have the next slide? Yes, thank you. So APASTI consists of 4 main trusts, namely public-private partnership or collaboration, talent mobility, people-to-people connectivity and inclusiveness, enterprise support, and also public awareness and STI inculturation. So whatever activities that we are supporting should be able to be part or to be linked to at least one of these trusts. So these 4 trusts do not stand on its own, but rather they are complementarity. They complement each other quite significantly. On the left side, you can see examples of more than actually 90 ongoing programs, and some of them had been already completed and implemented, and our division implemented through COSTI that falls under the 4 trusts. Let's have a look at the public-private collaboration. Examples are real-time epidemic genomic surveillance, malaria epidemiological transition, hydrogen for ASEAN energy transition, science-based information sharing from EOS, Earth observation satellites. So these are the big projects of collaboration that we're having with our dialogue partners. And our dialogue partners are providing us with financial and also technical support through ASEAN. The second one would be talent mobility, people-to-people connectivity and inclusiveness. Examples are we have various scholarship in STEM programs, Science Prize for Women, another Science Prize. Science Prize for Women is supported by the US. Another Science Prize is supported by Korea. We have ACGS, ASEAN Center for the Gifted in Science, and also STI training for young researchers. Well, actually, we have trainings for all researchers, not just the young researchers. Enterprise support, ASEAN Innovation Entrepreneurship Competition. We just concluded the biggest competition last year with more than 80 startups participating. Green tech transfer, education platform for ASEAN upskilling and reskilling. And finally, examples of public awareness and ASEAN inculturation. Last year, we had a very successful Grassroots Innovation Forum in Cambodia, High Performance Computing School, HPC School in Thailand for the 2nd time last year, ASEAN Galileo Hackathons with GNSS, the Global Navigation Satellite System ASEAN, Da Vinci Science Award. So we have a lot of programs, a lot of research opportunities that you can tap on. Can I have the next slide, please? Right. In all our effort in driving the regional SDI progression are in line with Sustainable Development Goals. Our effort are focused to link our SDI initiative and processes in a way that we will also support Sustainable Development Goals. I can safely say remarkable progress have been made in most ASEAN member states in SDI. Economic and social terms, although sometimes environmental costs of such development have been undeniably huge. But all in all, in ASEAN SDI, through our past implementation, we recognize this initiative as the main drivers behind productivity increase and also key long-term lever for economic growth and prosperity. This is even more pronounced in the context of our current pandemic recovery. Next slide, please. Right, so this is an important slide. It illustrates our cooperation with partners, various partners, both from the government and also private sectors and NGOs as well, and how we operationalize things, how we work, who are the implementing arm of AMSTI and also COSTI mandates. So already touched on AMSTI, COSTI, and also BOC, the Board of Advisor to COSTI. What I'd like to show here is the fact that we are working very closely with actually more than 17 partners. Most of these partners are the developed nations. So these are mostly our dialogue partners. They are providing us with funding and also technical support. With each one of these partners, we are having at least 1 to 6 ongoing activities. Our key partners for SDI in ASEAN, I would say it would be India, China, and also the US, but the rest of the partners are equally important to us as well. And India at this point of time is the only partner or the only key partner of ASEAN that is allocating a specific fund for SDI progression in ASEAN. We have a fund called AISTDF, ASEAN India Development Fund for Science and Technology. We are trying to get more dialogue partners to emulate what India is doing, allocating specific fund for ASEAN SDI progression. Right. In terms of our subcommittees, these subcommittees are sometimes called as the working group. We have 9 subcommittees under ASEAN, looking into 9 different scientific areas. Number 1 would be biotechnology, food science, meteorology and geophysics, material science and technology, sustainable energy research, SN3 infra and resource development, microelectronics and IT, marine science, and also space technology application. So for all these subcommittees, we have focal points in each AMS. They are the drivers of all the policies and programs mandated by AMSTI and COSTI. These subcommittees, I would say they are very, very active. Last year, we managed to implement around 42 activities and also projects under this subcommittee. The small project would cost us around just a few thousand USD, and the biggest project that we had last year was amounting to 20 million USD on space technology and application. We also work very closely with various international organizations and private sectors, as well as NGOs. Since last year, we are opening our window even more widely to the private sectors, because we know that for the private sector, they have existing fund, sometimes fund to be matched, because they usually love to work on a co-sharing and also co-fund mechanism. So if you have any idea to work with any private sectors out there, please do let us know. Also under COSTI, we have 2 task forces at this point of time. One is looking after our plan of action, APASTI. Currently, we are reviewing the implementation of APASTI, and the current APASTI will cease to exist until 2025. By 2024, we hope we'll be able to already draft from the next APASTI. We have another task force looking after ASEAN HPC, high performance computing. The end goal or long-term goal for this HPC task force would be to establish ASEAN HPC shared facility, because we know that not all ASEAN member states has got the HPC facility. So we want to have one HPC facility located in one of the AMS to be able to be utilized by all 10 ASEAN member states. Right. As what you can see here, we also have quite a number of centers, networks, and subsidiary bodies under COSTI. So all these centers, network, and subsidiary bodies, they are, I would say, independent. They are very active. I can see from the chat box that all our audience, you're coming from very, very different scientific backgrounds, various scientific backgrounds. Please feel free to get to know all these centers and networks. Maybe you can also already propose anything that you can work with all these centers and networks. Right. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. So if we segmentize our 9 subcommittee area of focus and also 17 sustainable development goals, they fit like a glove. We have a database of projects implemented under COSTI, and all can be easily linked to the effort in achieving sustainable development goals. I may not be able to remember all the projects on top of my head, but my point is the interlink really assists us in securing dialogue partners funding assistance, because all of our dialogue partners are prioritizing initiative that upholds sustainable development goals. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this slide, the implementation of SDG domestically at the national level calls for unparalleled collaboration in key areas such as enabling policy environments, developing human skills and capacities, mobilization and effective use of finance, whether through SCI or through PPP, public-private partnership. This slide illustrates the complementarity between SDG 2030, STI, low carbon economy, LC, and also 4IR. Why this for? SDG, because this is our topic today. STI, because we are in the STI division. Low carbon economy and 4IR are 2 major focus of ASEAN this year and also years to come. So following the reopening of ASEAN economy, all ASEAN member states are now gearing up for recovery, while at the same time ramping the effort to achieve SDGs and to adopt 4IR. So all this aspiration come with undoubtedly many challenges to be addressed and also opportunities to be tapped. Our first premise is STI is indispensable in achieving sustainable development goals. STI informs decision-making and provides the platform for local, regional, and even global innovation in various scales of operation. Across all 17 sustainable development goals, transforming scientific breakthroughs in new technologies possess a profound impact to ASEAN development. In the wake of the pandemic, especially now that we're recovering from the pandemic, STI needs to be further harnessed to ensure all AMS, all ASEAN member states could achieve sustainable development goals together as a region and by leaving no one behind. Another important premise is that 4IR is key in accelerating low carbon economy. ASEAN has been affected by enormous environmental stresses resulting from global warming, urban excess, deforestation, water scarcity, overfishing, and pollution. 4IR technologies such as AI, machine learning, the Internet of Things, IoT, big data, blockchain, and robotics could help tackle this issue and lead the region to LCE, low carbon economy. So the application of 4IR technologies could also help us to unlock economic opportunities for the region and improve ASEAN citizens' life and livelihoods. In a nutshell, this complementarity should inspire us to, especially the researchers out there, to reinforce STI initiative in achieving sustainable development goals. Can I have the next slide, please? Right, this would be my last slide. Having this opportunity, I would like to encourage more researchers out there, especially from the AMS, ASEAN member state, to tap on the opportunity we are providing. We want you to join us to work together in bringing ASEAN STI progression to new heights. How? I would propose 3 main entry points for cooperation. Number 1, 9 COSTI subcommittees. Try to connect with the national COSTI at your respective AMS. They may also be able to connect you with the subcommittee's focal point. We at the ASEAN Secretariat transmit all the calls, opportunities through national COSTI and subcommittees. Number 2, leverage on the opportunity provided by ASEAN through our partners, the 17 dialogue partners. For STI, we are partnering with 17 countries to deliver various activities. We have a lot of activities that you can benefit from. We have a joint research program, competition, hackathon, and many others. So you can find this information from ASEAN website or the mission website. So you just type the country's mission to ASEAN. Say, for example, China mission to ASEAN, US mission to ASEAN. They have all the information out there. And number 3, keep yourself updated on the many open calls conveyed and transmitted by National COSTI and also in our main web page as ASNet. But I would say that I would like to inform everyone that our ASNet is now undergoing and upgrading. Some of the links may not be updated, but anyway, you should start to connect with your National COSTI to keep you in the loop of any opportunities in the 9 areas or even beyond. So admittedly, in the past, one of the challenges that we are facing in transmitting information is that these amazing opportunities for researchers didn't reach the right target or not in a timely manner. Sometimes when the open call reached the researchers, the deadline already lapsed or too fast approaching. So my advice is always be on the lookout for all these great opportunities rather than wait for them to come to you. This is also why we should have a more practical engagement and dialogue like this. My parting message would be to amazing researchers out there, we need to work together to reinforce each other's effort. For what it's worth, it's always good to keep yourself updated on these amazing opportunities. I may not be able to stay on for the Q&A. Please feel free to send your question to the organizer. Alternatively, you can also direct your question to us and the email address on the screen. I think it's on the next screen. Can I have the next slide, please? Yes. That's our email address. You can just direct your question to us, or you can give the question to the organizer. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Zarina, for the excellent overview of ASEAN and for STI and ASEAN in particular. Very encouraging to hear you speak so positively about STI progress in Southeast Asia and ASEAN. And the number of partners, of course, that the ASEAN Secretariat STI division is working with. Since you can't stay for the Q&A, can I just ask you a couple of quick questions that have come up in the Q&A?
Sure.
Number one was an interesting question, I think, which is whether or not the ASEAN's Secretariat, the STI division in particular, do you have any platform where researchers can connect with each other? And if not, is that something that might be considered for the future? That's the first question.
Okay, I think I'll address that question first. So ASNet is our main website. I've already shown you the 20 networks and also centers that we have. They network very well among themselves already. I think for this question, even Simon, you already know the answer, that we are now developing Technology Management Hub. So this is going to be our main network for all researchers to communicate among themselves. Right now, we are in the second phase of the Technology Management Hub. This is going to be a big hub for all the AMS researchers to communicate and also to network among themselves. Thank you.
Good. Second question. Somebody's asked about getting a list of COSTI granted projects. Will they get that all through the ASEAN site?
Okay, for that one, some of the information, we cannot disclose all the information, but what we can do is we already transmitted to all ASEAN COSTI at the national level the projects that we implemented last year, the 90 projects that we implemented last year. Maybe we can, take out some of the details out there. We can just provide the information that you were requesting, that the person is requesting through our COSTI. Yes, we can do that.
Right. Okay. And just a final comment. I think the complementarity slide you put up fits very, very well with the objectives of the BCG Researcher Network program. And so thanks for drawing that connection between STI, the SDGs, low carbon economy, and the 4RI. So that's I think that for the participants, I think that sort of sums up very well one of the key objectives of this program that we're meeting on today. So thanks again, Zarina. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. Just before moving to our next speaker, a couple of admin issues that have come up. One is, I think some of you have been having difficulty changing your name. Please don't worry about it. Let's focus on the program ahead and leave that for now. The Q&A session will take place after the third speaker this afternoon. So keep your questions ready to launch then. We will be sharing the presentation slides and information about the next activities in this program. You'll all receive an email with that info, as well as a recording of today's presentation. So don't worry about that. That'll be coming to you, and we will also be sending to you a link to a group chat, basically where we can, everybody that's here today can connect with each other, can share ideas, introduce themselves, and so on. So we'll include that in the next in the follow-up email to you all. And thank you all for the introductions you've been making. In the chat box, we've got a really diverse group of researchers, from many countries, obviously enthusiastic and interested, which is terrific. So with that out of the way, let me now pass it back to Susanna to please introduce our next speaker. Susanna?
Yes, thank you, Simon. And exactly as you said, it's very exciting to see how many people have joined us and what they're all doing. So it's very exciting. And as you said, I'm sure there's plenty of ways that we can make sure people will be able to stay in touch, right, and benefit from each other's expertise. And I think it's a very opportune time for me to introduce the next speaker, who I can see is very much in the field of quite a few of the people that are joining us today. Our next speaker is Dr. Rodora Azanza. She is currently the president of the National Academy of Science and Technology in the Philippines, and she's also professor emeritus of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She is, I'm sure many of you know that, recognized for her pioneering work on seaweeds and harmful algae bloom, coastal environment management, and seafood safety in the Philippines. She is very much an academician, a researcher. She heads the PhilCoast project, which is the Philippine component of the Belmont Forum Global Project, which is entitled Coast and Ocean Assessment for Transformation and Sustainability. She is also currently heading, she headed the DOST-commissioned NAST project entitled PAGDANAV 2050, Philippine Science, Technology and Innovation Foresight 2050. She is currently the Philippine focal point for marine science and technology, and she is the chairwoman of the ASEAN Subcommittee on Marine Science and Technology of the Committee on Science and Technology and Innovation, COSTI, from 2021 to 2023. To date, she has published over 100, and I believe it's 108, scientific publications in international books and journals on the biology and culture of economically important seaweeds and on the biology, ecology, and management of harmful algae blooms, blue economy, and marine sustainability. She is the recipient of a number of very prestigious recognitions and awards, which include, for example, the 2013 UP Alumni Association Centennial Lifetime Distinguished Achievement Award in Environmental Science, and the 2015 Department of Science and Technology Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquatic and Natural Resources and Research Pantas Award for Most Outstanding Researcher and Scientist. She received her PhD in botany from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and she completed her postdoc and further specialization trainings in the United States and in Japan. So it's my great pleasure to now introduce you to Dr. Rodora Azanza. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the very kind introduction. It was quite long. I was thinking it would be longer than my presentation. Thank you very much. And then allow me to thank you also for inviting the ASEAN Foresight Alliance, which I am representing today as the chairperson of the board of advisors of this alliance. And then also I'd like to congratulate you for this workshop. This is preparing researchers for the present and future activities in relation to science, technology, and innovation and all the processes and activities that can be impacted by these activities. So I noticed that the previous speaker, Zorina, gave a very important and a very an excellent presentation on how science, technology, and innovation is really going to play a very important role in development, not only of the ASEAN. So let me have the first slide, please. Okay, so can you see my slide? It's going to be shared by...
We can, yes, everything is perfect.
I cannot see it myself. Okay. Okay.
We can see us. We can see the first slide.
Okay, thank you. Now, the ASEAN Foresight Alliance was okay, I cannot see it, so I'm sorry. Okay. Now, the ASEAN Foresight Alliance was approved during the 7th ASEAN Committee meeting of the COSTI in 2018. And it is aimed to project what is beyond 2025 for the ASEAN, predicated that STI capacity and competency would be very important for the development of the region, thus making ASEAN more agile in facing future challenges and shaping forward-looking planning and how STI can help in this regard. I'm not going to define foresighting because I think you are very much aware of foresights and even forecasts. So let me go to the next slide. So the activities that have been done by the ASEAN Foresight Alliance are the following. We had the advisory and awareness building on foresight, which started in 2018 and ongoing up to the present. We have capacity building for knowledge and skills in carrying out foresight exercises. We build networks between ASEAN and global foresight, and we have done this through our focal persons and some experts that we have invited to work with us. We have worked with ASEAN thought leaders to gain inputs for the ASEAN foresight. And then also we have the development of the ASEAN STI Ecosystem Foresight 2025 report, which is ongoing. So this is headed by the Malaysian Academy of Science and Technology, meaning the preparation of the ASEAN STI Ecosystem Foresight 2035 report, with the contributions coming from the 9, because Myanmar has not been so active lately, 10 ASEAN STI members or representatives. And then we have been working on this report and might be coming up with the report early next year or late this year. The next slide, please. So we are considering the global risks in coming up with the reports, because we do not consider only the regional or risks and forces in foresighting, and these are mentioned in this particular slide. And let me enumerate them. Okay. Sorry, seems that my connection is becoming weak. This is the problem with my connection. Hello, are you Can
We
you
can
still
hear,
hear me?
we hear you very well. There's absolutely on our side perfect. Don't worry, all perfect.
Okay. I'm having a problem with my connection. Okay. Sorry. Hello. My
We can
connection is.
we can
My con-
we can hear you really well, and we see the slide. It says global risks and forces, the 10 global risks and the 10 global forces.
Yeah, can I just go on with the global forces?
Please
We
go
have
ahead.
considered the following as global forces: the dynamics of the industry, and sorry, my connection is very bad. The education forces and competition forces, the forces coming from food and water security, and the forces coming from the demographics, which is very much changing, and health problems, and also the demographics. Okay, I'm not in again. Okay, and of course, the sustainability of energy and security of energy sources, and of course other security problems and safety problems, which are forces not only coming from the region but also from the rest of the world. Can I have the next slide, please? So the BCG model, which is the topic for today, has been introduced as a strategy to drive sustainable development, ensuring a balance between social, environmental, and economic objectives. Most of the models would consider all of these objectives. Now I'm out again. Okay. And so really, it's not only interdisciplinary, but also transdisciplinary in approaching problems such as the BCG, and also in looking into our future. So the ASEAN Foresight Alliance is sharing or have this similar goal by looking at the structural changes, especially the shifting in the economy, industry, and markets due to various global, regional, and national forces that are transforming economies in the region and the rest of the world. The next slide, please. So the ASEAN Foresight Alliance came up with an ASEAN Foresight Research Cohort. So we have selected experts, a cohort of permanent foresight expert researchers to establish and come up with the work beginning 2022 and help us in coming up with the reports and in the analysis of the STI ecosystem in the ASEAN. So among the roles of this Foresight Research Cohort are the following: to become the focal point of the ASEAN STI Foresight Initiative, to compile relevant national STI data, and promote and provide inputs into the process, and participate and engage in the workshops where ideas will be most mobilized. So the work of this AFRC has started and ongoing, and they are very much involved in the preparation of the analysis and the synthesis of the current ASEAN SDI, uh, uh, how they call this, system, and therefore some recommendations will be made in line with future activities. The next slide. So the way of doing the future proofing of the ASEAN is using the 4F framework for foresighting. The first one is what we call forensics, wherein we analyze the present and also deal with the most current problems. And then we have future sighting, and therefore in future sighting, we think about the future, and this is actually collective thinking, and this is a scenario building and scenario development, thinking of hazards, risk, and other possibilities that might happen in the future. And then there will be forecasting. Forecasting is the next F. And here, quantification is needed because you have to consider available trends coming from the present and maybe some from the past, so that the tools that will be developed for the future can be based on these trends. And then there will be, again, another series of future proofing, meaning anticipating risks and hazards, so that whatever problems that could be anticipated, we could have some scenario in terms of how we can deal with this risk. The next slide, please. So in the past, we had this first workshop in May 2022, and it was to understand the current trend of SDI systems in the ASEAN. And then there was a workshop also in Bangkok in the same year. And the workshop was to validate and rank future ASEAN SDI signals, meaning what are the more important concerns for SDI in the region. And then it was agreed that the aspiration, the future ASEAN SDI is towards, and I quote, it is towards a dynamic SDI ecosystem to drive economic growth, community empowerment, and environmental sustainability of the ASEAN in 2035. The third AFRC workshop was done in Kuala Lumpur. It was a physical workshop, face-to-face, done in November, and the workshop validated the forces of change and future scenarios. Future scenarios were developed so that key actions and activities for the future could be recommended. The next slide. So I think this is the last slide. It was decided that there are 7 key challenges for the future of the ASEAN, and these are geopolitical stability and regional relationships, governance challenges for businesses, economic integration, inclusive growth and sustainable development, changing demographics, regional digital economy, and new business models. It can be recalled that in the presentation of Zorina, she gave very specific examples on these 7 key challenges for the future of the ASEAN. And she mentioned that there are 9 subcommittees, if I remember it right, 9 subcommittees under COSTI now responsible for facing these challenges, not only for the present, but maybe considering the future in the present activities. So the foresight, if I have another slide, or this is the next slide. So the focus is to really consider scenarios for the future, considering risks for these different 7 key challenges so that we can help mitigate and work together, not only think collectively, but work collectively as a region and cooperate with the rest of the globe for the future of the ASEAN as well as the world. Thank you very much. I think this is the last slide. On behalf of the ASEAN Foresight Alliance, I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm willing to answer questions in relation to this presentation. I am sorry that my connection is quite bad, but I think I can have some time for me to answer questions in relation to the activities of the Foresight Alliance of the ASEAN. And I'm very happy that we were invited because the future of the ASEAN depends very much on the STI researchers that need to consider the future, the immediate future and the long-term future of the region. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zanza. I think that was a very clear presentation. And just to let you know, we could hear you very clearly and we've seen the slides very clearly. So on our side, there was no problem at all. And it was very interesting how you clearly identified the key challenges and the strategies that the Foresight project has adopted to bring ASEAN together to tackle those key challenges. And looking at the chat here, I think it's very exciting to see how people are already making the connections themselves. And I think a lot of what our researchers today do fits very much in those thematic areas that you've just identified. Now I'm looking at the Q&A. If any of you have specific questions, now is the time perhaps to put them in the Q&A. We had a question here, someone, Kuntum Melati, I think from the Philippines, is interested whether there are any upcoming programs under the Indonesian presidency that are falling within the field of BCG that they could perhaps prepare for. I'm not sure whether you could give some insight there or whether Dr. Zarina is still with us, whether she could share some insight here.
Okay, I'll give my thoughts on this. Since we have all the 10 ASEAN members in the alliance, I am sure that Indonesia will have programs or projects in line with the Foresight. And so therefore, I suggest that you contact your focal person for, I will be providing the names later. I do not have the names here, the focal person for Indonesia, no? I can send this maybe a little bit later. Would you still have a workshop until tomorrow? Or some other time? Or maybe can you just give me your email address? That person, send me an email so that I can give you the name of your focal person. I'm very sure that there will be foresighting exercises. We're doing this for the Philippines. Malaysia has been doing this for quite some time. The other ASEAN members are quite actively doing this. I think Indonesia will do this and might have started doing this. And foresighting is now being done globally because this is getting ready for the unforeseen future by creating scenarios, considering hazards and risks. And so, for example, in relation to the BCG, we can have foresight for what could be the hazards and risks in the BCG model. So even developed countries are into foresighting, and so therefore developing countries also need the foresighting model using STI also in this regard, STI foresighting.
Thank you so much. We will, of course, make sure that everybody gets this information. Before I hand back to Simon, there is one interesting question from Ryan John Pascal from the Philippines, who's asking, are there training programs for foresighting in the ASEAN? So basically, can young researchers be trained in foresight? Is there a program that you're already aware of?
Ryan is with us at the National Academy of Science and Technology, and it's very good that he's listening. So as you can see, I took over the chairmanship of the Board of Advisors for this alliance. They elected me just recently as the chairman of the Board of Advisors. There will be a series of trainings for young researchers because most of the time it is the more senior expert who do the foresighting, but now we want younger researchers to work with us in the foresighting, because foresight is looking into the future, preparing for the future, anticipating what could be the problems in the future. So definitely the young people, the young researchers, the young scientists should be involved, and there will be trainings not only at the regional level but also at the national level. So thank you, Ryan, for asking the question.
Thank you so much, and I'm handing over to Simon now. And just to let me assure you, there are some questions that we cannot answer, but we will get back to you in writing afterwards. So don't worry if we don't have time now. We will most certainly make sure that you do get an answer in writing later on. And back to you, Simon.
Thank you, Susanna, and thank you, Dr. Azanza, for an excellent presentation, very interesting presentation, particularly the 7 key challenges. Maybe we can come back to that in the Q&A discussion.
Thank you.
So now I would like to introduce our next speaker, a colleague of ours, Sorankanok Tajit. She is the acting director of the International Cooperation Division here at the National Science and Technology Development Agency, excuse me, National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NASDA. She is responsible for developing cooperation, research cooperation, research partnerships with institutions, companies, people from around the world. And that includes not only ASEAN, but the Asia region, as well as Europe and North America. She is also overseeing the implementation of another ASEAN program that we're working on with Zarina at the ASEAN Secretariat. And this is the ASEAN Regional Research Infrastructure Strategy, which is actually one of the ASEAN STI priorities for 2023. So Kun Sorankanok is looking over that. And she's also played a very important role in bringing us all together today because she is basically responsible for the management and implementation of the ASEAN BCG Research and Development Program. So with that, I would like to hand the floor over to Nat. Nat?
Yes, thank you, Simon, for your kind introduction, and good afternoon to all. This is the last talk for today inaugural session. Today, I would like to share with you Thailand's priority agenda on biocircular green economy, or BCG model, that has been declared the national agenda by the Thai government for sustainable development and post-pandemic recovery, as well as a model's mechanism to approach SDG, SCG. Next, please. BCG model comprises of 3 components, that is bioeconomy, circular economy, and green economy. Bioeconomy involves the production of renewable bioresources and their conversion into high-value products. The circular economy will aim at renewable usage, perpetuating the usefulness of resources, and the green economy, which encompassing the bio and circular economy, will keep economic growth, societal and environmental well-being in balance, leading to sustainable development. Each component is not new and has been applied in many countries as one of the sustainable development approach. Thailand combines all three aspects, B, C, and G, to make sure that our economy will rely on the national strength, which is biodiversity and cultural diversity, while using science, technology, and innovation to raise national competitiveness, strengthen community, and restore and protect environment. The BCG economy model places particular focuses on 4 important sectors in Thailand: food and agriculture, medical and wellness, energy, material and biochemicals, and tourism and creative economy. 4 sectors stand on top of Thailand's richness on biodiversity through cultural diversity, and with the right intervention of policy and management, science, technology, and innovation development, and participation of all sectors in a quadruple helix manner. The BCG model will be the way forward for future development of Thailand. Next, please. BCG is in line with Thailand's 20 national strategies and is certainly enable sustainable development goals through the promotion of sustainable agriculture, clean energy, and responsible consumption of production. Next, please. The principle of BCG is created value from biodiversity, bioresources, and waste. By using STI, higher value of products can be created. For example, instead of selling rice for commodity, by introducing biotechnology, special ingredients or chemicals can be extracted from rice and use it in nutraceutical with higher market value. This value creation concept can be also applied to materials and energy, as well as health and tourism. Next, please. The 5-year BCG action plan sets a vision to create sustainable and quality growth with science, technology, and innovation. The action plan is based on the 4 strategies. Firstly, to promote sustainable of biological resources. Secondly, to strengthen community and grassroots economy. Thirdly, to build resilience to global challenges. And lastly, to enhance sustainable competitiveness of Thai BCG industry. Next slide, please. As BCG economy model involves all sectors in the society, including public, private, academic and research, community, and international alliance, a structure and mechanism of BCG economy has been set up in place for administration as well as monitoring and evaluation. 3 levels of committee has been set up to oversee the BCG implementation. This consists of the BCG Policy Board, which is chaired by the Prime Minister, the BCG Implementation Committee, chaired by the Minister of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovation, and 11 BCG subcommittee for each specific sector as shown in this slide. The National Science and Technology Development Agency, or NASDA, has been assigned to be secretariat of the first 2 committees and also secretariats for all subcommittees to ensure the seamless operation among all sectors. Next slide, please. From these BCG committees, 13 policy measures have been proposed as listed on this slide, but let me mention only a few that might be of your interest. For example, to develop BCG corridor to build by building a regional economic corridor and employing BCG approach to develop and improve goods and services. To improve quality and safety of street food and local food with technology and good hygiene practices. And lastly, to promote international collaboration in all facets, including knowledge creation and talent mobility. Next slide, please. We expect that BCG model will make significant impact in 4 aspects, namely sustainability of resources and the environment by reducing natural resource consumption and greenhouse gas emissions. Socio-economic prosperity by improving income inequality, health and quality of life, and energy security. Sustainable economic growth by raising economic value of the BCG industry with high value goods and services and more income to the grassroots. And self-reliance by introducing and enhancing skills of the workforce, creating more startup and innovation-driven enterprises, and improving technological self-reliance. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to show you some investments and activity to support the BCG economy agenda. This have been carried out by several government agencies as well as through the support from private partnership. Next slide, please. One of the largest infrastructure to support BCG is the Eastern Economic Corridor of Innovation, or EECI. It has been set up in Wangjan Valley, Rayong Province, eastern part of Thailand. The primary objective of EECI is to connect research and investment across Thailand to support the BCG industries, large-scale translational infrastructure to support technology scaling up and technology localization are being invested at the EECI. Some of the EECI facility has already opened for services, but shown here in the slide are some of the infrastructure being developed at EECI. For example, biorefinery pilot plant factory, smart manufacturing center, and alternative battery pilot plant for non-lithium specialty battery. Next slide, please. One of the facilities at EECI that support bioeconomy of BCG is biorefinery facility. It will support BCG as an open platform for scaling up and conducting the techno-economic feasibility study. It will focus on development of technology to convert agricultural products and waste into higher value ingredients and products for several industries, including food supplements, nutraceuticals, cosmeceuticals, biochemicals, and bio-based materials. The biorefinery pilot plant will be ready in the late 2023 under the management of BioBase Asia, a joint venture between NSTDA and BioBase Europe. Although we don't have any example for case from the EECI yet, but we could give some examples of BCG action in Thailand as follows. Next slide, please. There are more and more examples from private sectors to adopt BCG economy model to transform their business with technology and innovations. So they will be more competitive in the global markets. As shown in the slide, there are companies developing new business in alternative protein, advanced biotechnology, and biorefinery, bioplastic. Corbion Purek and Total Corbion has been set up their factories in Thailand to make lactic acid and polylactic acid from local feedstock. while Binary Thai, a local company, has set up a subsidiary to produce bioepichlorohydrin locally. Midpon Group, a Thai company that has which is among of top 5 sugar producers in the world, is ramping up their fructose oligosaccharide production in Thailand. Next slide, please. In the area of agriculture, BCG Subcommittee on Agriculture and the Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperation promote the transformation of agricultural system to embrace BCG concept using public-private people partnership approach in 5 example provinces in Thailand. Model has been applied to sugarcane, coconut, pig, and cattle. Next slide, please. There are also several progresses reflecting the BCG in action in environment and moving forward the carbon neutrality. For example, introduction of carbon neutrality measures to promote clean energy, greenhouse gas reduction, reforestation, and circular design. The carbon credit exchanging platform have been developed by the Federation of Thai Industry and Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization. The other example is a regulation on offering 90% carbon credit to enterprises participating in the forestry carbon project announced recently by the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources and the Royal Forest Department. Next slide, please. In terms of international collaboration, we believe the BCG action is one of the key elements to directly drive the Sustainable Development Goal. It shares similar vision to SDG policy in many countries and regions. For example, EU Green Deal, Japan's Green Growth Strategy, Singapore's Green Plan 2030, Malaysia's National Green Technology Policy, the Philippines' National Climate Change Action Plan, and the US Carbon Neutrality Pledge. As you can see, BCG is not new and has been applied in many countries as one of the sustainable development approaches. Next slide, please. In a regional level, most ASEAN member states are embraced the sustainable concepts in their national plans to emphasize on preserving the environment, promoting green growth, and using STI to convert our biodiversity into high-value products, which is also safe for the environment. Therefore, a formation of ASEAN BCG network was proposed as a network to serve as a gateway to catalyze collaboration within ASEAN and with other regions in research, technology demonstration, technology localization, and potential commercialization on BCG. It aims to strengthen ASEAN capacity in research development and technology diffusion to enable the adoption of applicable technologies for sustainable development. Next slide, please. A member of the ASEAN BCG network is opened for academic institute and research organization located in ASEAN member states and involved in BCG in research and development, technology transfer, and manpower development. There are 2 types of membership: country representative member and institutional member. Currently, we have 9 countries representative members nominated by ASEAN National Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation, or COSTI, and 5 institutional members. Next slide, please. The ASEAN BCG network focuses on the capacity building and technology sharing via workshops and showcases. The joint research project and sharing facilities could also be enabled through this network. we expect that the ASEAN BCG network will benefit not only just researchers and innovators, but also the business sectors and policy makers. Next slide, please. In conclusion, BCG economy model is an action plan to move forward with the UN SDGs. In other words, BCG could be an action plan to drive the UN SDG to achieve their target. And for example, for B or bioeconomy could also support the goal number 1, 2, 3, and so on. And C and G also could drive other goals as shown in here. Together with all ASEAN members and also our stakeholders and global partnership, we could work together to tackle our current global challenges. Next slide, please. I think this is my last slide. To endeavor to develop sustainable economy cannot be done alone. If you are interested to learn more about BCG or interested to be a member of our ASEAN BCG network, please feel free to contact us at show at this email, and we welcome all your support and engagement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarang. That's not only is an excellent presentation, sort of explaining what BCG is, but I like it for the fact that it also shows the link between theory and practice. In other words, it's showing how, in the case of Thailand, what Thailand is doing to actually implement BCG. It's not just a theory, but there are policy measures in place. There are institutional changes happening at the research level and also in the private sector. Also, I think the presentation does a great job of highlighting the international links that are already in place for BCG, such as the ASEAN BCG network. And in fact, there was a question here, I think, how to nominate an institution to be a member in BCG. I think, Nat, you've already answered that. Also, I think your presentation once again draws the link between BCG and the social development goals, sustainable development goals, which I think is important. This is sort of being a recurring theme through the presentations today. Sarang, I have a couple of questions for you. The first one is for the polylactic acid. What's the use of polylactic acid in Thailand? That's the first question for you.
It's used, if I correct, and I have to apologize that I'm not the researchers in this field, but if I correct, the polylactic is used for the animal food and feed in industry.
Yeah, and I think also, I'm certainly not an expert in the field as well, but I think it's also being used in bioplastics, food packaging, that kind of thing. So, but we can elaborate on that and provide you a more detailed answer. Another question is, does BCG or do BCG businesses get incentives from the government, for example, the Board of Investment?
Of
That's a
course,
question.
yes. Of course, yes. There is the intensive for the business, even the new business or the already established business that is have related to BCG, they can ask for the incentive from the BOI, Board of Investment of Thailand. Yeah, and this is not applied for only the local company, but also for the international company that would like to invest in Thailand. Yeah.
Right. Okay, before we're moving to the open discussion, to the Q&A session, once again, just a couple of reminders for everybody that's here today. We will be following up with you. We'll share the presentation slides. We will share a link to the recording of the event. And we will also do our best to answer questions that maybe we couldn't answer during the session this afternoon. I see there are a couple there that were really directed towards Dr. Zarina, but she's had to leave, but we can certainly follow up with her and provide you with these answers that couldn't be address today. About what's going to happen next in this program, I'll get back to that after the Q&A discussion, or Q&A and open discussion. But yes, you will get all the material from today's session sent to you in an email in the next day or two. And as I said earlier, we'll also offer you a sort of platform or a group discussion platform for everybody joining today. So let's move to the Q&A. Please start. I mean, you already have, but now's your chance to ask questions of the speakers, or just more general questions that maybe we can discuss amongst ourselves. So Susanna, do you want to take the first question? Because I know you have to leave soon. Yeah.
I'm looking at, and there are so many questions. I'm just trying to see which one we should start with. There's a question maybe here. How to nominate an institution to be a member in the BCG? This is directed to our last speaker. Perhaps you could respond to that. This comes from Sulfika.
Yes, you can email it to us. We will sending the application form to them for the to fill out. We will soon have our member meeting. At that member meeting, we will propose to the new member to be approved. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And maybe connected to this, these questions repeat themselves sometimes. First of all, I think there's general interest maybe to find out a little bit more about the BCG initiative. Maybe there is a website that we could refer our audience to. And they're also, of course, interested to see either which projects are attached to this, or if there's funding that is attached to this. Maybe, Simon, there is a particular website that our audience can read up a little bit more, or a contact person where they could find out more about potential opportunities to get involved. Also, for example, people from the social sciences. This is a question from Noor Raihani Zainol. She's wondering, if there's certain opportunities for multidisciplinary approaches, including also the social sciences and the humanities. Would you have any suggestions here?
Sorry, maybe you can answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of BCG, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there is another social approach because of, as I mentioned, the BCG model was applied to all the different Thailand national agenda, and they have many, all the ministry was involved in this national agenda, and there was the implementation on the social science as well. For the information, or for the information on the project that has been done before, or for the more information, you can also visit the website. My colleague will type it on the chat box for the link to the BCG. The BCG is the website is www.bcg.org. So that you can get more information from that. There also the Thai page and English page on that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And maybe a final question, how would institutions like university be able to participate? What is foreseen as their contribution?
For the BCG network, for the ASEAN BCG network, we open for both research institute and the university or the academic institute. They can also contribute in terms of the sharing the information or knowledge that related to BCG in any all aspect. As I already presented, there were 4 aspects: agriculture and food, medical and wellness, biomaterials, and also the tourism and creative economy. And for the they can also participate in the seminar, like this seminar. This is the program that was one of the activity under the ASEAN BCG network. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe Simon, I'll take one more question and I'll hand it
Sure.
over to you, because there is a question here on the opportunities for collaboration between ASEAN and the EU, the European Union. And there are certain funding schemes. Our participant here, Anonymous, is referring to the joint funding scheme, and that correctly came to an end last year. But I think you have good news if you would perhaps maybe share a few words about the EU ASEAN joint funding scheme.
Yeah, I can't. It's a little bit premature, but this is a scheme that has been running for a number of years, which has a collection of funding agencies, both from Europe and from Southeast Asia. There have been sort of annual calls over the past 6-7 years or so. And it looks like that this program will continue with a new call coming up perhaps in June. But the administrative details are still being sorted out now. So I don't want to make too many promises, but this could be a potential funding opportunity for those of you that want to connect, your institutions here in Southeast Asia with partners in Europe. But you will probably get information on this, and we'll certainly send that out to all those participating today. If that next call is going to happen, we will be announcing the details of that calls fairly soon, I think in the next few weeks. But I can't say too much more at this point.
Yes, but maybe just to say that it is in the works, and it is one of the many opportunities. But of course, as we've heard from the speakers, there are plenty of opportunities. And again, I'm looking here at the chat box on the right-hand side. I see a lot of people are just raising their hand saying, I am from the social sciences and I'm interested in being involved. So we received at the beginning a few questions asking the organizers to set up some form of mechanisms where you can all remain in touch. And I think this is something that the organizers will get back to all of us very shortly. And then once we feed you with the information on the concrete opportunities, that perhaps would be the platform where you can start building little networks of potential collaboration to respond to some of these very precise and concrete opportunities that are coming your way.
Yep, I agree, Susanna. Yeah, so that's just discussing that internally now. What would be the best platform, but that's certainly the aim. So in the coming days, there will be a platform for you to all connect, to share your ideas, to showcase your research, and also come together in response to funding programs, funding opportunities, and those funding opportunities we will certainly feed into that network. I have a question. Maybe this is for Dr. Azanza, and this relates to your slide on the 7 key challenges. And I think one of your final comments was the sort of advice to think collectively, to work collectively. But a question I think that often comes up with regards to BCG and the future of BCG and ASEAN and so on is that you can potentially have a lot of conflicting interests at work. And, BCG is clearly sort of built on a partnership between, researchers, academia, but business, policymakers, civil society, and so on. So, as a concrete example, you may have the private sector, which is very much driven by growth, and that may conflict with sustainable tourism, for example. So I would just be very interested to hear your views on how you can encourage this collective approach and make sure that the growth in one sector is not detrimental to another, and thereby not achieving the BCG goals. Dr. Azanza, that's for you. If you could please comment on that. Dr. Azanza, are you there?
Okay, I'm here.
Great.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, I'm not using my video because I lose my connection
we can see
when
you.
I use my video.
We can see you.
I am losing my connection when I use my video. That's
Okay.
the reason why I don't use my video.
All right.
That's a very good question, Simon. And I think that's the biggest challenge, not only for the ASEAN, but for the rest of the world, when conflicting interests would really come in. And so therefore, that is the reason why we need decision-making based on a transdisciplinary approach, meaning considering all the forces, considering all the disciplines, all the expert advice that you can get, and also looking into the risks and the hazards. That's the reason why foresighting is important, because you can weigh things through foresight, forecasting and foresighting, especially because you can consider the risk and then make decisions after that. So that's the reason why not only developed countries are making use of foresighting, not only for business, but also in the use of technologies and innovation, because some of these could have not only positive impacts, but maybe some negative impacts. So therefore, foresighting really is collective thinking of the future, collective thinking of risk, and therefore this is quite important in decision making. As you pointed out, there could be conflicting and very multiple and different views and approaches to so many problems, and they are increasing in terms of intensity of these problems. So thank you for pointing that out, Simon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nzanza. That's clearly the challenge ahead to balance these different interests and so on. So maybe one more question for you. I mean, you've had a long and distinguished career in research. Much of your research has been, very, very applied, in terms of addressing some of these marine issues and so on. I'd just like, your views on, again, it comes back to this idea that BCG must be, different groups working together, researchers with the private sector, et cetera. And, we have many researchers here today, many that are in the sort of early stages of their career. What advice would you give them in terms of building connections with other elements in the ecosystem? So, for example, how do you build connections with the private sector? How do you build connections with policymakers? How do you get these connections outside of your research institute or university?
Okay. Not only do we engage other groups and other persons through focused group discussions on certain topics, but we also consider networks beyond our specialization, meaning those related to what we are aiming at. Like, for example, when we do a coastal sustainability and transformation, just like what we are doing now, we consider all the stakeholders, not only in the coast, but also in the watershed. Listen to them and try to see the key factors that would determine in the transformation, in the resilience of this particular ecosystem. So we engage in focus group discussions, we engage in stakeholders discussions, and really consider key questions that should be addressed by these groups, and then really listening, thinking together, and making scenarios that would be affecting the concern of the other. So it's really an open discussion for all the possibilities in the future, in the present, and looking at trends, the past and the present. Thank you.
So thanks, Dr. Zenz. I think that's also, I think,
really very important.
Absolutely, yeah.
You go beyond your specialization, listen and cooperate and work together beyond your specialization.
Well, and I think too that you see this more and more in different funding calls and so on, where one of the key criteria is to show the fact that you're not just working in your own research silo, but that in fact you are engaging with stakeholders outside of your, your meet them, and that's in fact part of the evaluation criteria. So, point very well taken.
Thank you.
Jenny, Dr. Amako, I think you're taking over as co-moderator, as host. So, wondering if you have some questions you would like to ask or comments you'd like to make about the presentations today. Hi, Jenny.
I think Jenny is, there she is.
She's there, but she's muted.
Yes, I think Jenny is probably the same issues. There she is. She's in Vietnam right now.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I turned on the. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I had some glitches there. Simon, I didn't get your last sentences.
No, I just saying that you're. I think Susanna has to leave shortly, and that you're the other Access ASEAN representative.
Of course.
I just wonder if you have any comments, questions about what we've been discussing.
I mean, I'm so excited for everybody. I mean, we have over 600 still inside the room, and so this is just the beginning, right, Simon? And so please keep in touch with us and attend all of the sessions. And you have a big opportunity that Simon would be discussing later. But I wanted to go back to Professor Rodora on Foresight, because this is something really that should be shared like in different platforms as well, not just in the ASEAN BCG Researcher Development Platform. So Professor, if you have any plans of having info sessions or maybe to take it further, we would be very happy to facilitate that with your Access ASEAN, of course, together with NASTA and PMUB as well.
Thank you very much. I was asking my group about that because I said the engagement of this AFA should not only be within the science, technology, and innovation people or ecosystem, but should consider the other groups, like especially the business sector and so on and so forth. So I think we can amenable or open to have engagements or discussion groups or whatever with the other groups at the ASEAN as per the plans of the AFA or the Alliance of Foresight in the ASEAN. The ASEAN. We are open. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And Professor,
sorry, just to continue, just like in the Philippines, the Foresight group has been invited by almost all groups, legislative, business, NGOs, NGAs, so our hands are full. And so I said to the board of advisors, which I'm chairing now, you should be open to the fact that maybe some other groups would be inviting us to engage with them and to possibly use foresighting in their approaches. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's the same way as well with Dr. Nat when it comes to BCG. I think BCG, led by Thailand, is something that definitely can be replicated, and localized in different areas. Of course, also in the Philippines. So I think this is just the beginning of the discussion.
Yeah,
I see people are still asking. So
Jenny, I'm very happy that you said that the BCG platform is part of the SDI Foresight of the Philippines. We included that. I'm the project leader. I'm the project leader of the Foresight for the Philippines, and the bioeconomy platform is part of the recommendations for the next 30 years for the Philippines.
That's amazing.
So maybe we can invite you in one of the engagements of the Philippines and in the region. Well, we're doing it. We've started it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like very excited to hear the BCG was applied in the Philippines, and hope that we can have the collaboration with in both bilateral and also the regional as ASEAN on the BCG. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. Well, maybe we can, I think, Jenny, there's a poll we have for today's participants.
Yes, people are answering it. Are you able to
We've
see
got
it?
that. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
So you're keeping track of that?
I'm keeping track.
Great.
It's
Okay.
going. It's still, I'm still missing 44% of the participants. So please answer
We
this
can-
question. It will really
yeah.
help us, moving forward. So,
And maybe while the participants continue to complete the poll, perhaps I'll just remind you all about the program, phase 1, phase 2, what's going to happen next. So I'll come back to the presentation that we went through earlier. If we could just go to the first slide. One more. Oh, no, there we are. Yeah. So as we sort of, said at the beginning of the session, this is a 2-phase program. The ASEAN BCG Research and Development Program will be run in 2 phases. Today was the launch, so it's the first workshop in the first phase. As we said, the focus really is on building up your skills as a researcher, particularly your soft skills, in terms of proposal writing, science communication, networking, critical thinking, et cetera. And this phase will run until April. And then based on the participation of researchers in phase 1, 30 researchers will be selected for phase 2. And this is to participate in a program, an intensive on-site program here in Thailand. How these participants will be selected, I believe, if I recall correctly, you need to have participated in at least 7 of 9 of the workshops in phase 1. So we'll be checking your attendance to see that you're involved in those workshops. And then, it'll be a combination of that, plus your CV and a short expose, just sort of talking about how you see your research connecting with BCG, both within your country, but also at a regional level. And then there's some administrative, requirements in terms of, recommendation letter, support letter. And these results will be announced, these selection results will be announced at the beginning of June. So these are the remaining sessions in phase 1. The next one will take place on the 15th of February. This is a workshop on science communication. We'll put up the slide for that in just a moment. And then the next one will be on critical thinking a week later, and a week after that on management, and then on the 8th of March on collaboration. And then session 3 begins, and that is focused on journal writing, proposal writing for international funding, scientific presentations. First 2 a week apart, then there's a break for the Thai New Year. And then, there's a break between the 5th of April and the 27th of April for the Thai New Year. Now, I think there are a couple of questions that came in about with regards to phase 2. Is it going to be focused? It's mentor-led. It's very much about, helping you develop your research into a proposal that you can take to potential collaborators, that you can use to seek, research funding and so on. And, this is not going to be directed at any one funding agency. The idea is that you have at the end of the session of phase 2, you would have a proposal that you could obviously adapt and tailor, but that your ideas are clear. You've got them presented in a way that you could then take to potential partners, investors, funding agencies, et cetera. But it's not targeted at any particular research funding program. Next slide, please. So this is the next workshop that we will have, 15th of February. This is all about how you communicate your science. So, I think as researchers, you tend to be you're obviously very good at talking about your research to fellow researchers. But quite often when you're submitting a research proposal, the evaluators are not necessarily experts in your field. So you need to be able to communicate what it is you're doing, why it's important, what the impact is in a language that they would understand. And this sort of, communicating science, your science to non-experts, whether it's evaluators, it could be to the media, it could be to a potential, VC, venture capitalist. Dr. Sam Illingworth is very good at this. And so he'll be running the next session, which he'll be presenting for about an hour and a half, and then we have 30 minutes for discussion. So I hope that we will see all of you that joined today. We'll see you at the event on the 15th of February, basically 2 weeks from today. And I'm just going to check here, any more Q&A?
There's a question, Simon, about the sessions, if they will be online or offline.
So the sessions, all the sessions for phase 1 will be online, and then phase 2 will take place on site here in Bangkok. And your travel, your accommodation, your meals, etc., will all be covered. So yeah, this is the 30 participants shortlisted from phase 1 would come to Thailand. That's all done physically, not virtually. But phase 1 is virtual.
There you have it. So please attend the sessions. You have to attend majority of the sessions so that you are eligible for the next round. And of course, this is also to prepare you, for the incredible opportunity, all expenses paid. Thank you so much, PMUB and NASTA, for covering that. So it's an all expenses paid, learning opportunity and networking opportunity for phase 2 in Bangkok. But before that, you are being capacitated, making sure that you have the skills, you are the best that you can be, as a scientist and researcher. So the next session, of course, is very exciting. We have had Professor Sam Illingworth several times, right, Simon? And every single time is always so creative, so original, definitely leveling up your communication skills and making sure that you make the right pitch as a scientist and researcher.
A couple more questions that came in just about phase 1, phase 2. We will, in the follow-up message, we will be sending you the Zoom link, for the next session. And I think there was a related question. Oh,
yeah, there's a
Jenny,
question.
can you drop the link to the online poll again, please?
Yeah, it's all open actually. So they so it's still open now. I already have 82% of the participants answering the
Good.
Thank you so much. So we just wanted to make sure that you were listening and you got everything out of it. So thank you so much for answering the Q&A.
The phase 2 selection will begin when? June. So to answer the question, the phase 2 application process will begin June. So a few months away yet. So I think if I could suggest, your focus should be on the upcoming workshops in phase 1. And then as we get towards the end of phase 1, we will let you know about the application process, all the details for phase 2.
Yeah, and you said, Simon, that it's usually all of them happen on the same date, right? So the reason
they're all happening, they're all happening on a Wednesday, basically a week apart. But then we've got a gap there in April because of the Thai New Year.
So every other week except for the Thai New Year, so you can plan your weeks already. So keep your Wednesdays open. You see the dates on the screen. So, and you can already ask maybe permission from your supervisor or from your directors to allow you, to attend these sessions. So every Wednesday at these times, please check your local times because of course in ASEAN we have different local time.
And we'll include this schedule in the follow-up message to you all.
Perfect.
So yeah, the idea is you can plan ahead, set aside some time on a Wednesday afternoon, and please join us. So.
And please share this opportunity.
Do you have any comments, Matt? Any final comments?
Just for the information, for the phase 2, we will announce for the call for application for the phase 2 after we complete the phase 1, because of there will be 70% of the people that attend phase 1 can apply for the phase 2, besides the other criteria that we will have and announce soon.
As I said, for the for the Q&A, we obviously couldn't get to all the questions today, but we will generate a report from today's event, and we will look at those questions we didn't answer and do our best to get back to you on with those responses.
Yeah, just on the question of the recording, with the permission, of course, of our partners in NASDA, there are several requests for the recording, so we can, of course, in your access, package it and send it off or put it on YouTube for it to be shared, but after in consultation with you. So please just keep in touch with us, and we will let you know as soon as it is ready.
Dr. Azanza, any final comments from you?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, she may have, maybe, I know she's struggling with her connection. So, well, I think we need to wrap things up here.
Yes.
So I would just like to thank today's speakers. Zarina is not here, but we will thank her after the session again today, and thank Dr. Azanza, and also thank Surakanok for the presentations today, which were excellent. And it's also important to thank all of you, the participants who joined us. As I said at the very beginning, we're delighted at the response. It's clear there's a lot of interest in the topics, and judging by the introductions that were made, through the chat, through the Q&A, and also in the sort of discussion we've had. So this is a great start to a very exciting program, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you, NASDA, PMUB. It's a pleasure for us in your access to be a part of this in our little way. And to all of you participants, have a good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world, just in case. And see you in the next session. Keep in touch with us and with each other as well.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nat. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Jenny.